On the 7th of March 2006, police in the Cixi area of Ningbo City received a somewhat surprising call from the home of a local middle school principal, saying that they believed they had found human remains in the attic of their home. The school principal, her husband, and adult son had forced open a case she found in the attic, and were now looking at what they believed to be a complete set of bones of a pair of human legs. Somewhat surprised and more than a little skeptical, officers went to the scene to investigate. On arrival, they were shown a locked case Miao Mo had found in the attic that her husband had forced open. Once the officers looked for themselves, they immediately closed off the home and called for an investigation team to come to the scene. They started to question the middle school principal to find out what exactly happened. Miao Mo told police that she decided to give her 3-story home a spring clean. In the course of doing so, she realized it had been some time since she looked in the attic. In fact, it had been at least 10 years since she'd been up there. On entering the room, a fairly pungent odor filled her nostrils. She put it down to the room not having been cleaned for many years and that there was likely some dead rats or mice around. As she looked around for any sources of the smell, she found it seemed stronger in an area near some insulating foam. She looked under the foam and found a large woven laundry bag, inside of which there was a locked case. She was unable to get the case open herself, so took it downstairs for her husband to try. He and their son managed to get the thing open. It was then they saw the bare bones, still with pieces of clothing on them. As investigators continued to search the attic, more cases in bags were found, containing more bones. The torso, the arms, and a skull hidden in a pillowcase. Soon the police had a complete, partially clothed human skeleton. Along with the remains, other items were found: an axe, the cord from a telephone, and crucially business cards and an ID card. While there was no guarantee the business cards and identity card belonged to the remains found in the attic, the names on both matched. The name police had found was Hu Jieming. When Miao Mo and her husband Xu Mo were asked if they knew anyone with that name, they were both stunned. They informed police that Hu Jieming was once the boyfriend of, and wanted to marry their daughter Xu Dan. As far as the elderly couple knew, Hu Jieming had moved to Guangzhou in China's southern Guangdong province many years ago to start a business. According to them, Hu Jieming had found success there and was doing quite well for himself. The police went to visit the family of Hu Jieming to investigate if there was any validity to this story. The family of Hu Jieming supported the claim. His parents told police that their son was doing business in Guangzhou and was fairly successful there. When police inquired as to when they last saw their son, the parents said they hadn't actually seen him since 1996, a decade ago. Police asked if they hadn't seen Hu Jieming for 10 years, how did they know what he was doing or where he was? The parents told police that someone had been keeping them updated on how their son was doing, although the updates had grown less frequent over the years. When police asked who had been keeping them informed about the activities of Hu Jieming, the parents told them it was their son's ex-girlfriend and former fiancée Xu Dan. Before leaving the Hu family home, the police took DNA samples to compare with the remains found in the attic. Soon it would be confirmed that the skeleton found was Hu Jieming, and the number one suspect was the woman he believed he would marry, Xu Dan. Xu Dan and Hu Jieming first met when they were both students in Tiandong Junior High School. The two fell in teenage love and began a relationship. However, from the start this caused an issue for the parents of Xu Dan. They were both working in education and wanted their daughter to focus on her studies, and they saw Hu Jieming as a distraction. They also felt that someone like Hu Jieming was an unsuitable match for her. Xu Dan, no doubt heavily influenced by her parents, was said to be an intelligent, hard-working student. Hu Jieming, on the other hand, struggled at school. Another issue was the difference between the two families. The parents of Xu Dan were educated and fairly well off financially for the time. They felt that their daughter could do better than Hu Jieming. When they graduated junior high, Xu Dan was able to enter a reputable high school due to having excellent grades. Hu Jieming dropped out of education and joined the army. While her parents happily believed this would bring an end to the relationship, they were wrong. The teenage sweethearts would keep the relationship alive long distance, and when she was able, Xu Dan would go and visit Hu Jieming at the base he was stationed. Xu Dan went on to attend college and followed in the family footsteps and became a teacher. Once Hu Jieming left the military, he started work in a factory owned by an uncle of his. The two would continue their relationship despite the disapproval of the parents of Xu Dan. However, in Chinese culture it can often be difficult for people to go against the wishes of their parents, and at some point Xu Dan felt she couldn't do it anymore. Once children begin work, they are duty-bound to take care of their parents financially, and the women were expected to start having children. This meant Hu Jieming would have to be earning enough to support his own parents and his wives. As he came from a poor background, the parents of Xu Dan didn't believe he would be able to provide for them. They decided to find a more suitable future husband for their daughter. In 1996, Hu Jieming was celebrating a cousin's wedding at a KTV bar when a close friend gave him some shocking news. The friend told him he had seen Xu Dan taking wedding photos with another man. Couples in China have their wedding photos taken before they are actually married so they can be shown at the wedding celebration. Shocked, angry and drunk, Hu Jieming left the party to go and confront Xu Dan about her betrayal. It was the last time he was seen alive. The Ningbo police had a body and a prime suspect, but with the remains being nothing more than a skeleton, they had little hard evidence. The cold case was handed over to the most experienced and respected criminal investigator in the province, Cui Guohua. Affectionately referred to as Lao Cui, he had solved a number of high-profile cases across Zhejiang over the past 30 years. With the prime suspect being Xu Dan, he focused his attention on her bedroom. After an extensive search, his eyes were attracted by a series of stains on the wooden floor. Areas of the floor had been varnished with a clear lacquer, but underneath there were noticeable dark spots. These would prove to be blood. The varnish, rather than hiding the evidence, had preserved it. The blood would later be confirmed as belonging to Hu Jieming. It suggested that this room was where the crime took place, but still it wasn't proof Xu Dan was the perpetrator. However, in interviews with police, when told about the discovery in the attic, she had already claimed that she had no idea how the bones of her ex-boyfriend got there. Cui Guohua already knew that the cases hadn't been moved since they were placed there. Staining on the floor of the attic from the body decomposing was clearly visible on the areas the cases were placed. He next wanted to examine the bones for himself. He discovered that the bones were not cut cleanly. Whoever dismembered the body lacked the strength to slice through the bone in one hard chop. There were many shallow cuts of around 2 millimeters, where the person had attempted and failed to separate the body parts before finally being successful. It suggested to Cui Guohua that Xu Dan was likely the person who dismembered Hu Jieming, combined with the evidence that it took place in her bedroom. However, it was only circumstantial. Cui Guohua knew he needed to eliminate other possibilities. The parents of Xu Dan had already been eliminated as suspects, partly because of their reputation in the area and also because they reported the discovery. If people didn't even know Hu Jieming was dead, there was no logical reason for the parents to bring it to the attention of the police. Their son was too young at the time the crime happened, so Cui Guohua looked at the possibility of someone else entering the home or having access to the attic. While her parents lived with the brother on the first floor of the home, Xu Dan had the second floor. The only entryway to the attic was inside the home. The evidence they had proved little for certain, but what they had collected added to the fact Xu Dan had been lying about Hu Jieming being in Guangzhou for many years left them positive Xu Dan knew much more than she claimed. They decided to formally interview her as a suspect, but they needed her to give a confession to have any solid evidence. Given the condition of the remains, there wasn't even a cause of death. The police hoped the evidence they could present her with would scare her into telling them what happened. It worked, and Xu Dan gave a confession. She told the police that Hu Jieming came to see her that night and asked about the wedding photos. She admitted that her parents had pressured her to marry the other man, and that they had been engaged for a year. Drunk and angry, Hu Jieming struck her before declaring he was going to take his own life. She claimed he took a large amount of sleeping pills with alcohol and passed away. Scared, Xu Dan hid the body under the bed for a few days and went out to buy the axe used to dismember the body and the cases to hide it. As reasonable as her story was, Cui Guohua wasn't fully convinced. Firstly, he doubted that someone the size of Hu Jieming would die so quickly from the sleeping pill-alcohol combination. And secondly, there was one piece of evidence she hadn't explained. Xu Dan hadn't mentioned the phone cord that was found in one of the cases. Cui Guohua accused her of using the phone cord to choke Hu Jieming after giving him the sleeping pills. Xu Dan fell silent for some time before admitting the truth. After the argument with Hu Jieming, she managed to calm him down. She went to boil some water for him to drink. However, worried he would expose their relationship to her fiancé, damage her reputation and bring an end to the engagement, she dissolved the sleeping pills in the water. Once Hu Jieming was suitably sedated, she used the phone cord to choke him to death. She then hid the body under her bed for 2 days before dismembering him and hiding the remains in the attic. When Hu Jieming didn't return home after the cousin's wedding, his family was concerned. The friend who had told Hu Jieming about seeing Xu Dan having the wedding photos told them that Hu Jieming left quickly after hearing this. A motorbike owned by Hu Jieming was still in the same parking lot, so the family contacted the police about his apparent disappearance. The following day, Xu Dan contacted them. She admitted there had been conflict between herself and Hu Jieming, and that he was heading to the railway station in Hangzhou to take a train to Guangzhou. The family headed off to the train station to try and stop Hu Jieming, but obviously didn't find him there. A few days later, Xu Dan again contacted the family, telling them that Hu Jieming needed to borrow money off her to start a business. She told them that she was going to meet him later that day. The family went to the bank. Xu Dan said she would meet Hu Jieming, but when they arrived, only Xu Dan was there. She told them they had just missed Hu Jieming and that he was going back to Guangzhou, and he would only return once he made a lot of money to make the family proud. The family, with no real reason not to believe her, accepted it, and over the years Xu Dan would give them occasional updates of the activities of Hu Jieming, who in reality was rotting away in her attic. Xu Dan married a month after ending the life of her boyfriend since middle school, and would go on to have a son. After her confession, she was charged with the intentional homicide of Hu Jieming. On November 30, 2006, Xu Dan faced her trial. There were angry scenes outside the courthouse as the families and friends of both Hu Jieming and Xu Dan clashed, requiring the police to step in to separate them. Xu Dan would surprise the court by retracting her confession. She denied choking Hu Jieming with the telephone cord, giving him sleeping pills, and even being in a romantic relationship with him. She stated she only dismembered him and hid the body. The death had nothing to do with her. She now claimed the telephone cord was only used to bind the arms and legs of Hu Jieming to make dismemberment easier. If the court accepted this, then without a confession the charge would have to change from intentional homicide to desecration of a corpse, a charge which carried a lesser punishment. She would be sentenced to death, but with a 2-year suspension of the punishment. In January 2009, the sentence was downgraded to life imprisonment. Due to her good behavior in prison, her sentence would be commuted several more times. It seems very likely that Xu Dan will be released from prison sometime in the not-too-distant future. This is little comfort to the family of Hu Jieming, who feel they have never truly received justice for his death. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment. And hope to see you again for the next dark tale from the Middle Kingdom.